Thinking about moving to Texas? You've probably heard about the lower cost of living, no state income tax, but there are some surprises that can catch people relocating to Texas off guard. So today, we are breaking down the real and true pros and cons of moving to Texas.
We're John and Nicole Cartee, and we are local realtors for the Woodlands, Texas, and greater Houston area. So we thought we would just note down a few of our top notable items.
For sure. And I mean, we've helped a lot of relocators. One of the big things that brings them to Texas is a major pro of living here is obviously no state income tax. A lot of people already know that, but Texas does have no state income tax. So your paychecks go a lot further. That's a huge benefit for people. What would you say? California, New York, Illinois are probably the states where we see the most excitement from our relocating clients about
Even
no state
Hawaii
income
too,
tax. Yeah.
as well.
So definitely a huge advantage to living in Texas.
Another thing too is just the affordable cost of living. So we're actually ranked number 3 by Realtor.com for one of the most affordable states to live in. Our median price for homes right now throughout the entire state is currently at $371. And then gas prices tend, obviously we're going to go up with the rest of the country as well, but we're currently averaging $381 while the rest of the US is at $413. So that's another big win as well.
No state income tax. Your dollar goes further with a lower cost of living. Another huge advantage living in Texas is the robust job market. You have oil industry here, specifically in Houston with Exxon, Chevron. You have tech moving to Texas, so Tesla, SpaceX, Apple has a large conglomerate of offices in Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin area as well. Not to mention NASA is huge, obviously, here in the greater Houston area. And you have all the medical technology and medical hospitals and medical centers that are in Houston. So Houston has the medical center, Woodlands has multiple hospitals that are world-renowned. So a lot of medical research and hospital care is provided in these areas, and that is a really strong boost to the Texas and local economies.
And then of course you have your climate, lifestyle, pros on that. Of course, we'll touch on that first. But climate can just be really dependent on where you want to live. Texas is a very big state, as we all know, and it really can change like every couple of hours of a drive. We have visited friends in Dallas and the temperature dropped 5 or 10 degrees just from coming from our home in the Woodlands. Obviously, you know, a hot Texas summer is a hot Texas summer across the board, but it will change depending on where you're at, how close to the coast you are versus like central Texas or north. And just by comparison too, you have, you know, where we're at here in the Woodlands, we have more trees, more shade. It does get humid, but it's not quite as bad as I have lived, you know, in Clear Lake where, you know, humidity in the summers is very humid, and it can again still be an enjoyable and really nice relaxing afternoon, but it will change just a kind of depending on where you're at, whether you're closer to Galveston or, you know, Pearland and Friendswood are pretty nice areas as well. Sugarland, Richmond, northern side of Houston, that will change. And then same thing for lifestyle too, kind of depending on where you're at. It's going to be very important for you, especially if you're relocating from another state. Lifestyles do change dependent on like what town you're in. So Woodlands is great and one of the most sought after towns to live in the US, simply because it offers something for everyone. That's one of the reasons we love it here. If you want to go hiking, you can go hiking. If you want to go shopping, there's price ranges and styles for everybody. You have art festivals, dog festivals, like all the things. If you're more into wine nights and wine tastings, there's that. If you're more of a beer person, they have like breweries everywhere, axe throwing. I could go on for days. That's one of the reasons Woodlands is great. But of course, there are towns that have more of just that, you know, where Friday night lights, football at the high school is kind of more of the focus, versus, you know, the Heights area is going to be usually your 30s to 45, maybe 50 range, and a lot of people there do tend to go out every other day during the week. But that's the thing, is you kind of go up to the bars and stuff, and then if you go to Post Oak Galleria area, that's your more walkable lifestyles with shopping and stuff. And then of course, if you can go even further south, and you do have the lifestyles that are more like out in the country, riding four-wheelers, you know, having horses, lots of animals, all of that is available We're personally in the Woodlands, and even if you do want Woodlands area, you have places like Magnolia, Tomball, stuff like that, where you can have more space. Definitely need to make sure you have a realtor that knows a lot about the different cities surrounding the areas, because your lifestyle needs and wants will certainly change which town you're picking, even if that means you want to be close to a downtown Woodlands or downtown Houston or something like that. Will be very dependent on how you want to live.
For sure. I mean, lifestyle can vary tremendously. One of the cool things about Texas is it's one of the top states for new construction, and specifically in and around Greater Houston, you have the master plan community. So a lot of states don't have anything quite like that, but what it is it's a housing development that is pre-planned to include commercial and tremendous community amenities. So each master plan community has a different flavor, a different vibe, and a different lifestyle within it. So even if you choose Pearland, which is south of Houston, or you choose the Woodlands where we are, which is north of Houston, or Sugarland, which is more west of Houston, within those minor metros of Greater Houston, you have the potential lifestyle of a master plan community where you have a lazy river, or you have a golf course, or you have nature trails and hiking or kayaking, or whatever the theme of the community might be. So there's a lot of local flavor and opportunity for local realtors like ourselves to really pair relocating clients to your commuter routes plus your general lifestyle wants and needs, to what do you really want to get out of your relocation from a lifestyle perspective. And there's so much to offer. Like, we had a recent relocator tell us that the Woodlands feels like Orange County with better prices, just high-end shopping, incredible dining experiences, the waterway, the art festivals. Like, this is the high-end living experience we want, but man, it's nice to have the Texas price tags associated with everything else. So there's a lot of different variety of lifestyle in
with
Greater
the parks
Houston.
And walking and everything too.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Really nice, for sure. But not everything is nice. We've got to be honest about that. So let's talk about some things that can catch relocators off guard, surprise them about Texas, and some things they have to get used to that can be seen as cons. So we've hit the pros. Let's talk about some cons to living in Texas. Obviously, we started with there's no income tax. Well, you don't get off completely easy because Texas has some of the highest property taxes in the country. That catches a lot of people off guard. There's a lot of variety to property taxes here based off the school district, the county, the city. There can be tremendous difference in houses that are 10 minutes apart.
You also have mud taxes.
Mud taxes, which a lot of states don't have municipal utility districts. Texas, we do have those. It's more of a local way of maintaining your water and sewer, but it's an additional tax. And so those taxes add up, whether you're in a mud district or not, whether you're in a higher school district tax or not. A lot of those things play factors, and together, Texas has a higher average state property tax than most states. So for relocators, it's really important to know that those general calculators for your affordability usually use a national average for property tax. Texas is higher than that. So your affordability is going to look a little bit different, which is where local realtors really come in and can help you really understand what the tax is going to look like in the different neighborhoods or school districts that you might be considering.
And just for an example too, we have a listing that is basically the Woodlands, like on the line of the Woodlands. It's 5 minutes, maybe 10 from where you start to see Woodlands restaurants. And then I would say 15, 20 minutes from like more central Woodlands area. Their tax rate is 1.5, I believe. It's pretty low. It's a very low tax rate. And then we personally are a 20-minute drive from Woodland Central, and ours is much higher. So
Double that.
So yeah, we're in the threes. So you can be 15, 20 minutes from the downtown version, you know, of wherever you're wanting to be at in either direction, and your taxes can be completely different. And even some of just the zip codes and stuff, like, they'll change, but it can definitely hurt you. So yeah. And then the next thing too, just to talk about and prepare for, Texas does have a lot of toll roads. I hate them. We try very hard to avoid the toll whenever we can, because it can and it will add up. You do have to budget for that monthly. That is not a if and or maybe. That is a you absolutely have to budget for that. I will say that can be also dependent on where you live. You know, if you live on certain sides of the tollway, you could probably get away with your everyday route, not ever touching a toll. But if you're going to travel to and from certain areas of Houston, you probably will be hitting the toll at least once every couple of days. So that is something that you need to prepare for. And then secondly, most of Texas is not very well known for having a large supply of bus routes to and from different towns and cities. You will probably be taking an Uber most of the time wherever you go. So if you go to downtown, there is availability for the metro itself. There is the transit. They do have bus routes. You can take a bus from Houston to Pearland or, places like that. But it is my understanding, just in comparison to different states, that we don't really have the same just availability of buses for people to use. So if you're going to live in downtown Houston, that's definitely there, but prepare to probably have one of those monthly Uber subscriptions if you don't plan on having a car. We are not a walkable, friendly place to live at all, unless you're going to live maybe in the Heights, maybe Midtown, downtown, and then downtown Woodlands is kind of walkable. But even at that rate, if you live in one of the nice townhomes, getting from there to a Target or your doctor is probably going to be impossible without taking an Uber. So that's just something to prepare for as well.
Yeah, Texas, our big cities, we don't have the metro systems of really most big cities across the country. I've lived in a couple different cities across the country. In Texas, by far, Houston is the one where you absolutely have to have a car. So even if you live downtown, you can use the metro rail, you can take advantage of some buses, but you're still probably going to need a car. We joke Houston's an hour away from itself. So even if you're in Houston trying to get somewhere else in Houston, it could still be a 30-minute drive. So we don't have the L of Chicago or the subway of New York or the trams of San Francisco that people just rely on public transportation. We don't have that here. So it's a very drivable, commuter-minded city. So you need to figure out where you're going to be working. And if you commute every day into work, factor in that into where you decide to live when you're relocating in Texas. That's really important. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize about Texas when they relocate here, kind of goes with the property taxes, is the insurance costs. Nicole and I were talking the other day, we had a buyer who had to very, very specific about where they bought because of the flood insurance, because they wanted to buy in a more coastal area. And flood insurance is a real thing here. So with the natural disasters, you have the hurricanes in South Texas, tornadoes and hail in North Texas. Insurance premiums in Texas are a lot higher than the national average. So again, those online calculators use a national average for insurance costs when budgeting how much home you can afford. It's going to be a lot more than that in Texas, which is again why you need a local realtor with local knowledge to help you understand the flood maps, understand Texas insurance costs, how that factors in your monthly budget to make sure that you're actually looking at homes you can afford. And you don't have any surprises near the end of the process where you see that insurance bill and it catches you off guard, because it is different here than in most states for sure.
And last but not least, definitely need to think about what the climate is going to look like here, and not always just in a positive way. Obviously, if you are used to shoveling snow, it's going to be a bit different. Maybe something you'll be super happy about is no longer having to do that. It will probably snow here if you're in South Texas anyways, once a year, and I mean one day for like an hour and a half, and that's it. It's wonderful if you're tired and over that kind of thing. I wish
golf year round, you know.
However, it can be very humid. You will sweat your makeup off. You will sweat through your suits. From around May to September, October-ish, the humidity, I'm not going to say is unbearable. You kind of just have to get used to it. There's really nothing else you can do. You learn how to dress differently. Even professionally, girls start wearing, more cut tops, and then guys usually walk around in polos, stuff like that. Do not plan to have a heavy wool suit from any time outside of maybe late December to mid-January. And the other thing, I'm not sure about other states, but I have heard that people are just amazed at how big our mosquitoes are here. They're like monsters out of some horror movie, apparently. So we do have mosquitoes, but we do also have trucks that spray for them. So if you do purchase down here and you're wondering what this weird white truck is that's driving around with some Ghostbusters thing on the back spraying stuff, they are treating for mosquitoes so they won't be so bad. I will say I have noticed just from living in different parts of South Texas pretty much my whole life, the area that we live in and in the Woodlands, mosquitoes really aren't that bad. I don't even notice them here. And we have been in the Woodlands area for going on 2 years now. So
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. I was like, wait a minute, math. So anyways, I hardly ever noticed a single mosquito, at least in comparison. I'm sure they're out there, but the trees in the Woodlands area, Magnolia, Montgomery, Tomball, just north of 99 Houston area, the environment is just different. And then if you go further south, like Pearland, Friendswood, Brazoria County area, their trees are a lot different. And just the environment, I think, creates...
It's a lot more humid there, too.
It's a lot more humid. It creates a growth area that mosquitoes tend to love. There's a lot more just like watery, swampy areas. So you are going to have more mosquitoes if you want anything probably south of like Beltway 8 going down to Galveston versus up here. I'm sure they exist. I just don't notice them in comparison to having to really deal with them most of my previous life. And then just the last thing, which I think this can apply anywhere for anybody, but it should be mentioned, allergy season can be different for you depending on what you're used to. Whenever we moved from the Richmond area up to the Woodlands, I had never had allergies in my entire life. I just dealt with mosquitoes, but we came up here and I was sniffly and my eyes felt like they're going to pop out of my face for about 3 months, but now I'm used to it. So I think just getting used to the different types of trees can be an issue for some people. He has allergies all the time, so you're just kind of used to it. But of course, there is actually these drops from HEB, which is a great reason to move to Texas. And they make their own version of these allergy drops. It's called Texas something. It works wonders. He takes them if we're going to visit any friends with cats in their houses, and he never seems to have problems. So you can just build up on that and you'll be fine. It's all good.
So while Texas certainly has a few things to consider that could be seen as negatives, we and our clients who've relocated here and who live here find that the pros, economic opportunity, the lower cost, and the lifestyle far outweigh the negatives. So we loved helping people relocate to Texas and find the right neighborhoods, the right lifestyle. And we'd love to be part of your experience if you're considering the options of moving to Texas.
So follow, like, subscribe, do all the things, and reach out to us if you have any questions or if you're considering a move to Texas.
Thanks so much.
Bye.